right, and let me share my screen with you all. And hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. We're in the month of August, and that is most definitely back to school season, as we all know. I actually have a daughter and my son-in-law that both work in education, and this was their first week back. So I'm excited to be sharing with you today and actually have a guest speaker with us as well. But for those of you that don't know me, whether you're joining live or watching the recording later, my name is Andrea Bond. I am a mom of three, grandmother of one, and a certified health and life coach, as well as I've been a wellness educator with the Juice Plus company for about 19 years now. I've had quite an amazing health journey of our own for our family. I come from kind of a line, if you will, a genetic predisposition to Parkinson's disease, which caused me to really want to dive into proactive ways to improve my family's health. And in that process, I became so passionate about what can happen when people are, you're going to hear me say these words a lot today. It's all about empowering and equipping with simple solutions and information and education that makes a difference. And, when I think of back to school in particular, I remember that season very well. I do literally remember when my kids would be hopping on the school bus like this picture here. But I think back to the times when, we're shopping for the school supplies, we're buying the uniform or the clothing, we're getting ready for the sporting events. And yet, never once did I ever think back then, what can I do to keep my children well during the school year? So I guess if anything, I will say that this presentation is a bit selfish because I'm going to share with you today everything I wish I had known as a young mom when my kids were heading off to school. And so we'll start that by kind of addressing the current situation. And it is a bit somber, if I'm being honest. I think back to when I was in school. I definitely did not know anyone that had, a childhood diagnosis of cancer. And today we have literally children's hospital, cancer hospitals, if you will, reserved for that. I remember even, and this is, I'm going to date myself again with age, but my son being in elementary school. So this was probably 15 years ago. And I volunteered at the school and was working in the nurse's office that day. And I remember I was blown away. Inside and outside of her cabinet doors in the nurse's office was Velcro all along the wall, all cabinets, and inhalers. And during the breaks between classes, the children would line up at the door to come get their inhalers. And I was like, I have never seen this. What is going on? And it was just a common occurrence. And so, the truth of the matter is our children have a lot of health challenges, as we can see here. And when they're sick, it doesn't just impact them. They're, as parents, we're going to probably have to be the ones that take off work. And so that, right. And then if one child gets sick and there's multiple in the home and we don't have strong enough immune systems, it can get passed through the family, get passed through the classroom, etc. And so sadly, our highly processed diet, which is, if you've ever paid attention to that acronym, SAD, Standard American Diet, is a huge culprit in the problem. That, and then I look at the fact that, I remember feeling like I was nothing more than a taxi driver and the lunch packer and everything else, because school year can be very, very hectic time. So we're challenged with tight schedules, with running children to multiple activities, or even I have a friend who literally, oh bless her, just told me the other day that she has four children in four different schools this year. I cannot even imagine the magnitude of getting everybody where they need to be. But then we have picky eaters too. If we've got everything else already solved, then there might be a picky eater problem. I know my younger daughter, my second or middle child, was my super picky eater, which I have to say, I'm so grateful today that she is my healthiest eater, actually works in healthcare and talks to me. She's a physical therapist and says all the times to me as she's treating her patients, Mom, I just wish I could help people with nutrition. So that is a big part of what we're talking about today. Juice Plus was a huge catalyst, and I'll mention a little bit more about that later, in terms of transforming how she ate, got us past that picky eater stage, if you will. But I want to address for a moment just immune health and dietary choices, because there is no doubt that there is a direct correlation here. And, again, dating myself, when I was in school, I'm thinking it was maybe five a day, right? That was at most, they were saying eat like two fruits and three vegetables a day or something like that. And perhaps you're familiar with this plate. It's actually, you can go to myplate.gov. This is out from the government giving the current recommendation. They've honestly just given up on numbers and recommend that half of every plate that a child and adult, of course, because we're not immune to this, but half of every plate that we consume be fresh fruits and vegetables. Now, I just want you to pause for a second and literally digest that. Think about what you ate for breakfast. Think about maybe what you ate for dinner last night. My dinner was exceptional. My husband cooked a wonderful meal. So we hit that last night, but I have not hit that for breakfast or lunch so far today. And so it is challenging to say the least. And the reality is that students these days are eating less than three. I remember running carpool one day to school with my daughter when she was in middle school, right? So you can think about that age and stage of life. And her friend hopped in the car with a Mountain Dew and a Snickers bar. And I just about cringed and thought, oh, that poor girl and what that's doing to her diet. And I love this quote. If you're not familiar, it's actually alarming, but it was so impactful. I guess that's why I say I love it, because there are people out there doing good things to change those statistics. And so Dr. David Katz, if you're not familiar with him, he's head of preventative medicine at Yale University. And he has said that our children are more harmed by poor diet than their exposure to drugs, alcohol, and tobacco combined. And again, if you sit on that for a second, it's really alarming, because no parent would ever intentionally expose their child to drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. And yet, what is happening with our dietary choices, or the overly processed diet that we're faced with? One thing I will say, David Katz, great program. You can Google this if you have younger children, especially. It's called Nutrition Detectives. And I remember showing it to my children in elementary school, because I truly believe that when you educate children, you empower them, right? They will make the good choices. I'll show you one more thing I have here. I've shown this before on another Lunch and Learn, but this is and I'm going to say, gosh, 15-year-old cheeseburger, right? Here's literally the cheeseburger. Here's the meat. Here's the cheese. And let me show you the French fries. Here's the French fries. So probably, I think that's about 15 years old now. It's been through a few moves. So it's broken. My bun is broken, but you see it still shows no signs of mold or anything. I show that to you because I've done a lot of children's health education events over the years. And when I've shared that, I've actually had parents call me and say, you know what, my child, and I'll just call out where it came from, McDonald's helping meal. They've said, my child will not go to McDonald's anymore. That's a win. And I say that because by educating and empowering our children with what will build their body up, they will make better choices. They are so smart. So let's just look at a couple things that affect diet, or how diet affects learning and behavior. A couple things in particular in the diet: sugar, and again, processed foods like we just looked at. I think sugar is just so intriguing. And it's like I never, you look at one and one equals two, but I never put it together before. I think back to all the times, my children were in school, and especially in elementary school, when those birthdays get celebrated and somebody's bringing in the cupcakes for their birthday, and you've got one sick child in a classroom, and then the kids all eat the cupcakes, and then you've got a lot of hyperness happening in that room. But more than that, this sickness just kind of spirals through the classroom over time. Well, it's because sugar is so harmful to all of our health, not just children, but it actually suppresses the immune system for about 4 hours. So again, is it completely avoidable? Probably not, but this is about equipping parents and children with knowledge. And so Hopefully you can see that sugar dollar on the screen. This is a resource. Just know if you want to use the chat or my email will be provided at the end of this presentation. I'm trying to just upload or give everybody as many resources as possible to face this school year in the best possible way. So the sugar dollar system is so fun, especially with younger kids, because the recommendation is 25 grams of sugar max in a child's diet during the day. Okay. So you can actually print out 25 sugar dollars and let them budget their choices. So as again, you're empowering them. You don't have to fight the battle as much. But here's the thing, 25 grams is 6.25 teaspoons. It's not much. So it really is an impact in improving learning opportunities, behavior, and such. Because let me show you, I've got all sorts of visuals here today, perfect for classroom conversation. This is one yogurt, one Yoplait yogurt, 5 teaspoons of sugar in the one yogurt. So think about that. This would be almost all. So if you want to look at the grams are 20 grams. So 20 of the $25 would be used up on that yogurt. That doesn't leave much else. But again, it's just empowering those decisions for children. And the same thing goes with processed foods. Our family had kind of a shift after I learned this. And again, I wish I had learned it earlier. Why I wanted to share it today is years back, I'll admit it, I was a parent who did not want to make the school lunches. So I would tell my kids, or pack lunches, I should say. I just did not want to go through the effort every night, 3 kids. So I would tell them, look at the school menu, and you get one day a week that'll make you a lunch. Like one day you can pick a meal you don't want to eat. But after I started learning this, and truthfully, a lot of I know schools do the best that they can, but we've got still a long way to go in terms of really getting healthy, whole foods into school lunch programs. And so what we see here in the processed picture is a lot of the common stuff we see: chicken nuggets, French fries, right? All those, maybe potato chips if you're packing a lunch. And yet, when I started learning about the dangers of this, I actually flipped that switch. I said, I have to lead by example, and I'm the adult here in terms of empowering and equipping my children with better choices. And so we flipped that equation, and I said, okay, you can look at the school lunch menu and you can pick one day a week that you can eat at school, and the other 4, I'm packing you a lunch. And I just want to address, just one statistic here with ADHD, because I remember, if anybody is familiar with Dr. William Sears, he's one of the biggest proponents of Juice Plus and shares it with his children, or with the pediatric patients, I should say, in his practice. And one of the things he does is when the schools have kind of told the parent, you need to take your child to the doctor. We're concerned about the possibility of ADHD. He instead has put those children on Juice Plus and told parents to remove sugar as much as possible from the diet. We see the ill effects of that. And 75% of those children never needed medication. Now, there is a genetic component to ADHD. I'm not saying, it's all magical just by a dietary changes, but think about that. 75% could be reduced, or that positive impact, by making those simple dietary transitions. And I just popped this last image in here just quickly today. I was actually scrolling Instagram earlier and I saw this. And so I didn't grab the source. So search it if you'd like, maybe go to Instagram and search it or Google it. But a study just stated that eliminating processed foods from children's diets reduces ADHD symptoms by 53%. I know any parent would want to know that and do that if it could help their child. And so just real quickly, just to give you an idea, what are foods that help the immune system, since we know that sugar and processed are not the ones. Quick picture here for you to just take a glance at, with one notable point, most importantly. Labels. Think about labels. Maybe the yogurt. I don't think it's this yogurt. I think it's a good, healthy Greek yogurt that they're talking about there. But what you see there is everything else. It's not labeled food. It's not processed and packaged food with synthetic ingredients added in. It's whole foods. It's eating from the farm, if you will. And so it is such an amazing thing that you can see transform. Our family has lived it over the past 19 years. And I won't say it was a dramatic change. I had to bring that education in with my children. And then as they felt like, they were empowered to make that healthier choice, it became easier as a parent. So this is what I'll call the resource page. Anything you see here, again, you can use the chat, you can email me, and I can equip you with some great ideas here. So first of all, I have to hit on smoothies. They are our breakfast. I grew up in a family that worked for the Kellogg's company, and I personally grew up eating Fruit Loops and Sugar Smacks every day. So no doubt that when I learned the power of smoothies, I jumped all over that. That became our morning routine. And I loved them for the morning because it was easy while the kids were gathering all their stuff. I could make the smoothie, put it in a to-go cup, and they could just drink it on the way to school. Now, if you have something that you love, that's a great healthy breakfast alternative. Maybe it's an after school snack. Another thing I do that actually that complete creations recipe book you see there is I make homemade protein bars. I'm actually going to eat this one as soon as we're done here. My treat after my lunch. And so we have a wealth of recipes for energy bites and protein bars and different things like that. So something like this, just a homemade version, 4 simple ingredients, became another great snack alternative for my kids after school. Okay, the bento lunchbox. If you have younger kids, grandkids, whatever it may be, talk about lunchbox envy. My daughter has this for my grandson who's only 15 months old and sends his lunch packed when I watch him every Monday. And I just love opening it up and seeing all these compartments and all these beautiful colors. And so it is just a really fun way to, again, equip children with a healthier lunch alternative. I look at the little compartments, they're kind of all blocked off, and none of them hold or have space for a bag of potato chips. Okay. But that being said, you still see like there's crackers in there, there's different things. I believe personally with whatever we're doing in dietary choices and meals and such that we should approach an 80-20 kind of goal, if you will. So 80% of that being whole foods, 20% of it being maybe something that's packaged. Traffic light eating, real quickly. Traffic light eating is a great concept by Dr. Sears. Green, go foods, eat them anytime, also called grow foods. Yellow are like that warning, slow down, eat in moderation. Red are minimized in the diet, very highly processed. And then this Start Strong resource book, again, something else I'd be happy to pass along an email to you, has great lunchbox planning guides, snack ideas, even healthy habit checklists that you can share with children. So all of these are available. You just let me know if you would like to utilize any of them in your approach to back to school. And then I have to tell you about Juice Plus because this has been the catalyst for our family's health changes. So I said 19 years ago, I was that mom with 2 in middle school, 1 in elementary school, super picky eater, was introduced to Juice Plus, saw those fruits and vegetables that you see there, all the bright, beautiful colors, kind of like eating the rainbow, and thought, what if? What if this might help my kids eat a little bit healthier? What if this took away some of my mom guilt from that daughter that would only eat corn and grapes and that was it? And here I am 19 years later because it's been that powerful for our nutrition. So they have basically worked with the farmers to grow this produce and then dehydrated it and put it in capsules, chewables, and a drink mix, which I'm having right now. Always have my superfoods in the afternoon. But here's the thing to know about it, and I can get you more information again if you're interested in learning more. It's research. There are almost 50 published studies proving what it does in the body. It has a food label. So, not synthetic, not created in a lab, but grown on a farm. It's certified pure. And here's the best part, our Healthy Starts for Families program. This company is so committed to changing the health of future generations that they have a program that any adult that starts on any variety of our blends, you can see them there, can sponsor a child as young as 4 all the way through their 25th. So up 21 years of free Juice Plus if they want to make an impact in a child's diet too. And I will tell you, we have lived all of these statistics personally, right? I can tell you since our children, or my children, adults now again, started on Juice Plus way back in elementary and middle school, they've yet to have a sick doctor visit. Even as adults, all through, high school, college, graduate work, and beyond. This is an impactful program that's reshaped their tastes, that's helped them choose healthier habits. But rather than share our experience, I want you to be able to hear from somebody in particular. So I'm going to pause for a second that is joining us today. So, Caitlin, I'm so excited and honored that you are here. Let's see. Oh, perfect. You've unmuted yourself. So, Caitlin, I know that you've been a part of this Healthy Starts program for a while, but first tell us a little bit about yourself, your age, your grade, interests, and if you remember, when did you get started on Juice Plus?
Okay, so I'm 18. I'll be a senior this year. I love history. I attended National History Academy last year. That's an awesome program. I volunteer a lot, like my church, museums. I'm planning to do youth and philanthropy again. But I started Juice Plus when I was 7 years old. So it's been over 10 years. I was in
Wow.
first grade.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous. Again, I wish I had found this even before my children started school, but what a gift. So, how did starting Juice Plus change your health or more importantly, even your understanding of nutrition in general?
I love that it's like actually food. Like, what is it? The quote from like Socrates, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food or whatever. So like one time I actually found like a piece of broccoli inside that hadn't been all the way ground up or whatever. It's so like like she was talking about this study, so many studies, like I've seen that as well, like the immune support or whatever. I didn't get as sick as my friends. I would get little colds. I would just get over them so much faster. I got strep throat in fifth grade, and then I had ear pain in sophomore year. So that was 5 years without going to the doctor for a sick visit. And then like I just learned so much like nutrition, like why it's important. And so at National History Academy, both my roommates got COVID, and then they gave me a different roommate who also had COVID. And so I'd had COVID a few times before, but like I was like, no, I want to go to Williamsburg. I don't want this. And so I just ate so much Juice Plus and so much fruits and vegetables, but I wouldn't have known to like eat that many fruits and vegetables if I hadn't grown up in this community. And so I was able to skip the COVID that time, and I really enjoyed that. So
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's class. And I have to say, I do that with my kids. I did it every time they joke, literally with me. This is a terrible thing to say, but they said, Mom, on your tombstone one day there we're gonna have it carved in. She forgot to double up. Because I'm always telling my kids, double your juice plus. If you get a cough, like you said, it'll just take you beyond that and help you fight it off even better. So, any healthy habits you feel like you've developed because of all you've learned? I know you just shared a little bit there, but anything else that you can think of?
yes, I think it must have been like second grade. We watched some Dr. Sears thing or something. So, like 10 years ago, talking about like red dyes in corn syrup. And in elementary school, like second grade and under, I had headaches all the time. And so, me and my mom figured out like those red dyes and the corn syrups will give you the headaches. And so, I just avoid them all the time now. And so people make fun of me. They're like, you live in Texas. Why have you never had Dr. Pepper? And I'm like, I know it's going to give me a headache, and I don't want to do that to myself. Also, sleep. I've watched so many Zoom calls with my mom, like the healthy habits sleep. We had to say like what time we went to bed last year, and I was like 9 or 9:30, while everyone else in my grade is saying they're up till 2 a.m. and then they're up at 5 or 6, and then they just live on energy drinks because of that. But I see them like so sick and tired all the time. But
Wow, wow. I think, yeah, that really addresses. And I noticed that with my daughter, the difference between your peers, right, that
mhm.
aren't making the healthier choices. And what a gift, honestly, to understand at such a young age the red dyes, the corn syrups, the things that people don't think twice on. I hate to say it, but I was somewhere the other day and I think I stopped for gas and ran into the gas station and watched an adult pick up a Dr. Pepper with a candy bar. So that being said, how do you feel those healthier habits are going to impact you as, oh my gosh, going off to college soon, I imagine.
um, I mean, like this year, I want to start. using our tower garden. I want to like be able to eventually like grow my own food. But in college, I'm either hoping to get an apartment so I can cook more of my own healthier food, or I know cafeterias are doing like more healthier options now and stuff. But what was I gonna say? Like restaurants, like me and my sister, we don't like eating out that much. We're just like, this food is so greasy, it doesn't even make us feel good. We'd rather just eat the healthy food because we know it makes us feel better. So,
Yeah, wow. I agree with you too. I have to go on, or where I'm going, not have to go on a vacation, but I have a vacation coming up, and my number one thing is like, I don't want to eat out for that whole time. So that's so wise. And I'm sure I'll just have to tell you real quickly, you can appreciate this. My oldest daughter did not think she needed her Juice Plus when she went off to college. She didn't tell me when mom said, pack your Juice Plus, and she didn't take it. And 3 weeks in, she called me from her dorm crying and coughing, and she wasn't feeling well. And she asked me if I would overnight it to her. And of course, what did I do? Yes, I paid $25 to send her Juice Plus, but she has never needed that doctor visit. She actually triples up now. So like you said, you can never take too much. Okay, one more question for you. So, just in general, just having lived this for, gosh, I think you just said, what, 11 years now? What are you most grateful for having been given this opportunity to learn these healthy habits at such a young age?
I mean, I learned my whole life that your genes aren't your destiny and like what you eat really does matter. Like I don't want the cancer and the diabetes my grandparents have. But like gum disease, whatever. My grandma has so much like missing teeth and like health issues with her mouth. And then when I got my wisdom teeth out last year, I was like eating so much smoothies, fruits, and vegetables. Like I was going back to giving tours the next day, no infections, while my friends are missing school for like weeks. And I'm like, for me, that was normal. I'm like, of course I'm back the next day because I just knew to have put so much nutrition in my body. But
Oh my
that's what I've appreciated the most is you can teach little kids. Like I work at a daycare and I warned my mom because she's going to be teaching some of these kids this year. I'm like, they're bad. Their behavior's bad because of what they eat. They get all these goodie bags for birthdays, but these candies, I don't even know what they are, and these sugary tube things. And then they treat people badly. They don't know how to focus. They're sick all the time. But like when I was little, my mom would put out like snack trays, sort of like the lunch boxes with like carrots or peppers, or like she did do crackers and hummus and stuff too. But like you can teach your kids that what they eat matters, and it does make a difference. So
Oh my gosh, Caitlin, you are so wise. What I know your mother, and she is a blessing, and she has done a great job. But I cannot wait to see the impact that you are going to have in your peers' lives and everything going forward in future generations. Like I said, I wish I had known this when I was younger. I've seen it in my daughters as they've grown up, and so I have no I doubt you're talking about literally life-changing things. So thank you so, so much for being willing to share with us today. It
you're
was
welcome.
so
Thanks
fun
for
having
having me.
you on here and getting to visit. So, as I just wrap things up, everybody, I've just got one more screen I'll show you here real quick. And so, if you are interested in getting started on Juice Plus, taking advantage of that free child supply, you can scan this QR code. You can reach out to the person who shared this lunch and learn with you. My email is just very simply AndreaRuns@yahoo.com. So please feel welcome to reach out if you would like any of those resources. And next week, we're going to be talking about the balancing act of the immune system. And so, interesting that I brought up the asthma earlier today because asthma is an autoimmune condition. So, we'll be diving not only into the idea of just sickness, but the idea of autoimmune conditions as well. So, I just want to thank you so much for spending some of your lunch hour with myself and Caitlin. And Caitlin, thank you again for sharing. And I wish you all a great, healthy, happy school year. Take care. Bye bye.